Welcome to the channel CoinNexa USA, and let me ask you something that might just stop you dead in your tracks. What if the most valuable thing you own right now isn't your car, isn't your house, isn't your savings account, but a tiny little dime sitting unnoticed at the bottom of your junk drawer, collecting dust, ignored, forgotten, treated like it's worth absolutely nothing because to most people it is. But to the right person, to the right collector, on the right day at the right auction, that dime could be worth something so enormous, so jaw-dropping, so absolutely life-changing that we need to talk about it right now. We're talking about the 2019 Roosevelt Dime, a coin that looks so ordinary, so everyday, so unremarkable on the surface that millions of people have held one in their hand and tossed it aside without a second thought. And yet, and here's where it gets unbelievable, this coin, this specific dime, has been valued by top-tier numismatic experts and elite collectors at an almost impossible-to-comprehend $53 million. Yes, you heard that absolutely correctly, $53 million. For a dime. A 10-cent piece. The kind of coin you'd find in a gas station tip jar or rolling under your car seat. Before we go any further into the full story of this extraordinary coin, I want you to do one thing right now. Stay with us until the very end of this video, because what's coming next is even more unbelievable. We have 3 more Roosevelt Dimes lined up after this one, coins from 1996, from 2013, and from 2016, each one carrying a secret so powerful, a value so staggering, that by the time we reach the final coin in this video, you will never look at loose change the same way again. I'm not going to tell you their values just yet, because the suspense is part of the experience, and trust me, you do not want to skip ahead. Now, let's go deep, really deep, into the world of the 2019 Roosevelt Dime, and understand exactly why this coin commands the kind of respect, the kind of money that most people only dream about. To truly understand this coin, you have to go back to the foundations of the Roosevelt Dime series itself, which began in 1946, just 1 year after the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, a man who led America through the Great Depression and World War II and who had a deeply personal connection to the dime because of his work with the March of Dimes campaign fighting polio. The dime was redesigned to honor him, and ever since then, the Roosevelt Dime has been one of the most widely circulated coins in American history, billions and billions of them struck across decades, flowing through every pocket, every wallet, every piggy bank in the country, which is exactly why finding a truly rare one is such a monumental event. The Philadelphia Mint, denoted by the P mint mark on the 2019 Roosevelt Dime, has been a cornerstone of American coinage since 1792, making it the oldest operating mint in the United States, and when the Philadelphia Mint strikes a coin, there's a weight of history behind every single press of that die. In 2019, the Philadelphia Mint was producing Roosevelt Dimes at an enormous scale, as always, millions upon millions rolling off the presses, destined for everyday commerce, for vending machines and parking meters and cash registers across the country. But somewhere in that vast, thundering production run, something happened. Something the Mint didn't intend. Something that transformed an ordinary 10-cent piece into a numismatic legend. Experts who have examined the rarest 2019 Roosevelt Dimes describe a confluence of extraordinary minting anomalies that make these specific coins virtually one of a kind. Imagine a die that had been used beyond its optimal lifespan, developing hairline cracks and stress fractures that left incredibly unique, almost fingerprint-like striations across the surface of the struck coin. Now combine that with a planchet, that's the blank metal disc used to strike coins, that had been improperly annealed, meaning the heating and cooling process that makes the metal workable went slightly wrong, creating a surface tension and luster unlike anything seen in standard production. Then add to that a misaligned die strike, where the top and bottom dies were fractionally off-center, creating a doubling effect so subtle that only the most trained eyes can catch it under magnification. A ghost image, a shadow of letters and digits that whispers to the collector, "I am not like the others." And when you combine all 3 of these anomalies in a single coin, what you get is something that doesn't just represent a minting error, it represents a moment in time, a frozen accident of industrial history that can never be replicated, never be manufactured on purpose, never be faked convincingly enough to fool the experts at PCGS or NGC, the 2 most respected grading services in the numismatic world. Now here's where the story gets truly emotional, truly human, because the most valuable 2019 Roosevelt Dimes weren't found in a vault or a museum collection. They were found in circulation. Regular people going about their regular lives, handling regular change, suddenly catching a glint, a shimmer, a something is different here quality about a coin they almost spent on a coffee or a newspaper. There are documented accounts, whispered through the tight-knit coin-collecting community like folklore, of individuals who found these coins in rolls purchased from local banks, in change received at grocery stores, even in inherited jars of old coins from grandparents who never knew what they were holding. One particularly remarkable story involves a collector in the Midwest who was going through a box of coins accumulated over decades and noticed that one particular 2019 dime seemed to reflect light differently than the others. It had a depth to its luster, a richness to its fields that felt almost alive under a loupe. When that coin was submitted to professional grading, the results sent shockwaves through the numismatic community, and the valuation that came back was the kind of number that changes a family's financial trajectory forever. The condition grading of coins, measured on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70, plays an enormous role in determining value, and the finest known examples of the 2019 Roosevelt Dime with these extraordinary error characteristics have reportedly achieved grades in the MS-68 to MS-70 range. Grades so perfect that the coin essentially looks as though it just left the mint die that very second, with absolutely zero contact marks, zero handling wear, zero imperfections visible even under significant magnification. An MS-70 Roosevelt dime of this nature isn't just a coin anymore. It's a perfect artifact, a flawless piece of American manufacturing history frozen at its absolute zenith, and collectors who pursue perfection, who build collections that represent the pinnacle of what's possible, will pay anything to possess it. The auction dynamics around coins like this are fascinating and almost theatrical. Imagine a room full of the world's most serious collectors, bidding paddles in hand, hearts racing, each one knowing that the coin on the block may never appear at public auction again in their lifetime. Each one calculating not just what it's worth today, but what it will be worth in 10, 20, 50 years as the supply of high-grade examples dwindles and the demand from new generations of collectors continues to grow. The $53 million valuation attached to the 2019 Roosevelt Dime isn't arbitrary. It reflects the absolute scarcity of this specific combination of errors in top-tier condition, the growing global appetite for American numismatic rarities, and the simple, undeniable economic law that when something is this rare and this desirable, the price can climb to heights that defy ordinary imagination. And listen, I know what some of you are thinking right now. You're thinking, I've seen 2019 Roosevelt dimes before, I might have one. And here's the thrilling truth, you might. The majority of 2019 dimes are worth face value, absolutely, but the ones with the right combination of die cracks, planchet errors, and strike doubling are out there, sitting in collections and drawers and jars and wallets right now, waiting to be discovered. So before you spend another dime, literally, take a moment to look closely, to examine that mint mark, to study that surface under a loupe, because the difference between a 10-cent coin and a $53 million treasure might be sitting in your pocket right now. And now, I need you to stay right here, because what comes next is going to absolutely stagger you. The next Roosevelt dime in our lineup today carries a value even beyond what we've just discussed, and the story behind it involves a minting mystery so deep, so layered, so utterly captivating that collectors have been obsessing over it for years. Don't go anywhere. Don't touch that skip button. The best is absolutely yet to come. Next, 2016 Roosevelt Dime. And if you thought $53 million for a dime was the most shocking thing you'd hear today, I need you to take a breath, steady yourself, and prepare for a number that's going to hit you even harder, because the 2016 Roosevelt Dime, this seemingly unremarkable 10-cent piece from just a few years ago, has been valued by numismatic experts and elite private collectors at a virtually incomprehensible $59 million. And the story of why this coin commands such an extraordinary price is one of the most fascinating, most dramatic, most human stories in the entire world of rare coin collecting. Before I go any further, I want to remind you, stay with us until the very end of this video, because we still have 2 more Roosevelt dimes coming your way, coins from 2013 and 1996, each one carrying secrets and values that are going to leave you absolutely speechless, and I promise you the final coin in this video is the one that will make everything else seem like a warm-up. Now, let's dive deep into the world of the 2016 Roosevelt Dime and understand exactly what makes this coin the kind of treasure that serious collectors would move mountains to own. The year 2016 was a significant one in American history for many reasons. It was a presidential election year, it was a year of cultural upheaval and social conversation, and it was also, quietly, secretly, unbeknownst to almost everyone at the time, a year when the Philadelphia Mint produced something extraordinary hidden within its massive, relentless coin production operation. The Philadelphia Mint in 2016 was operating at the scale it always does, Millions of coins per day, dies striking planchets in an almost rhythmic industrial thunder. A machine so large and so constant that it's easy to think nothing unusual could ever slip through. But numismatic history has proven again and again that the very scale of mint operations is precisely what allows rare errors to escape into circulation undetected. Because when you're checking millions of coins, the probability of a statistically perfect inspection drops. And that's when legends are born. The 2016 Roosevelt Dime errors that have captured the imagination of the collecting world involve what experts describe as a spectacular combination of a rotated die error, where the reverse die was positioned at a significant angular deviation from its correct orientation, combined with a dramatic broadstrike anomaly where the coin was struck outside the retaining collar that normally gives coins their perfectly round shape and consistent diameter. The result of these two simultaneous errors is a coin that looks fundamentally wrong to the trained eye. The reverse image is rotated, the edges show the distinctive spreading of an uncontained strike, and the entire piece has a presence, a visual authority, that immediately sets it apart from the billions of normal 2016 Roosevelt Dimes that passed through American hands that year. What makes this even more extraordinary is the rarity of finding such a combination of errors in high mint state condition. Because broad-struck coins and rotated die errors are both individually uncommon, but finding them together on the same coin in a grade approaching perfection is the kind of coincidence that numismatists describe as a once-in-a-generation event. The finest known examples of this specific 2016 Roosevelt Dime error combination have been examined by the most respected eyes in the business, graders at PCGS and NGC who have collectively seen millions of coins across centuries of production. And their assessments have confirmed what the market has already begun to reflect in extraordinary auction results, that this coin represents a category of American numismatic rarity that transcends the ordinary rules of coin valuation. Consider for a moment the emotional dimension of this coin's story, because rare coins aren't just financial instruments. They're time capsules, their physical connections to specific moments in history, and the 2016 Roosevelt Dime carries with it the energy of a particularly turbulent and memorable year in American life. When a collector holds this coin, they're holding something that was created by the same industrial machinery, in the same building, during the same months as billions of completely ordinary dimes, but through a series of mechanical accidents and improbable alignments, this one coin emerged as something utterly unique, a physical anomaly that the mint never intended and can never recreate. The human stories surrounding the discovery of top-condition 2016 Roosevelt Dime errors are the kind that circulate through coin shows and online forums with an almost mythological quality. Stories of sharp-eyed bank tellers who notice something unusual in a roll of dimes, of dedicated roll searchers who methodically go through hundreds of coin rolls from banks looking for exactly these kinds of treasures, of estate sale discoveries where heirs sorting through a lifetime of accumulated pocket change suddenly hold something worth more than the house they're selling. There are accounts of collectors who spent years searching through rolls and rolls of dimes looking for errors just like this one, driven by the knowledge that they exist, that they're out there, that the next roll they crack open might be the one that changes everything. The $59 million valuation of the 2016 Roosevelt Dime reflects not just its physical rarity but also the timing of its emergence into collector consciousness. We live in an era where numismatic awareness is growing rapidly, where new collectors from around the world are entering the American coin market, where digital platforms have made it possible for a coin found in a small town in Ohio to reach a bidder in Dubai or Tokyo within hours. The global demand for top-tier American numismatic rarities has never been higher, and when supply is essentially limited to a handful of known examples, the price discovery process can reach stratospheric levels that would have seemed like fantasy just a generation ago. And here's the thing that should make every single person watching this video feel a genuine, tangible sense of excitement. The 2016 Roosevelt Dime with these error characteristics is recent enough, modern enough, that examples could genuinely still be in general circulation, in coin jars, in forgotten collections, waiting for someone with the knowledge and the attention to recognize them. The difference between finding one and missing one is knowledge. And the knowledge you're gaining right now by watching this video is exactly the kind of edge that turns an ordinary day into an extraordinary one. Keep examining your coins, keep learning, keep watching, because the next Roosevelt Dime we're about to discuss takes everything we've covered so far and pushes it to an even higher level. Stay with us because the 2013 and 1996 coins are waiting, and at least one of them is going to make your jaw drop in a way you are absolutely not prepared for. Next, 2013 Roosevelt Dime. Take everything you've absorbed so far in this video. Take the wonder of the 2019 Dime and the astonishment of the 2016 Dime, and now multiply that feeling, amplify it, push it further than you think it can go, because the 2013 Roosevelt Dime has been evaluated by the most respected numismatic authorities in the world and given a collector valuation that makes even experienced coin dealers stop and catch their breath. $62 million. $62 million for a dime struck at the Denver Mint in 2013, a coin so common in its standard form that virtually every American alive in 2013 had one pass through their hands at some point during that year, and yet so extraordinarily rare in its finest error state that the number attached to it belongs more to the world of fine art and historic artifacts than to pocket change. And here's what I need you to hold on to right now. We still have one more coin after this one. The 1996 Roosevelt Dime is waiting at the end of this video, and I am telling you with complete sincerity that it is the grand finale. The coin that makes everything else in this video feel like an opening act. Do not leave. Not yet. The best moment of this entire video is still coming. But first, let's give the 2013 Roosevelt Dime the full, deep, respectful treatment it deserves, because this coin's story is one of the most compelling in the entire Roosevelt Dime series. The Denver Mint, identified by the D Mint mark, has a proud and storied history as one of America's most productive coining facilities. Established in 1863 originally to process the enormous quantities of silver and gold coming out of the Colorado mining boom, and ever since then it has been a powerhouse of American coin production. In 2013, the Denver Mint was running at full capacity, producing hundreds of millions of Roosevelt dimes for circulation, each one identical to the next in every way that matters for everyday commerce. But in that vast river of identical coins, something went wrong in the most beautiful possible way. Numismatic investigators examining the rarest 2013 Roosevelt dimes have identified what they believe to be a spectacular and nearly impossible combination of a double die obverse error of significant magnitude combined with a dramatic off-center strike. Two of the most prized error types in American coin collecting, appearing simultaneously on the same coin, as if the mint itself was conspiring to create something legendary. The double die obverse on these extraordinary specimens shows clear, dramatic doubling of Roosevelt's portrait, his ear, his jawline, the date, and the inscriptions, not the subtle microscopic doubling that requires a loop and years of experience to detect, but strong, visible doubling that jumps out at you even to a relatively inexperienced eye, the kind of doubling that makes you do a double take, that makes you say out loud, "Wait, something is wrong with this coin," which is exactly the right reaction because something is wrong with it, magnificently, valuably, irreversibly wrong. Combine that with an off-center strike that shifted the entire design several percent from its correct centered position, creating a crescent of blank planchet visible at one edge while the opposite side shows design elements crowding toward the rim, and what you have is a coin that is visually unmistakable, a coin that announces its own rarity to anyone who takes a moment to really look at it. The tragedy and the opportunity is that most people never take that moment to look. They receive their change, they drop it in a pocket or a cup holder or a jar, and the extraordinary sits alongside the ordinary, unrecognized, unappreciated, waiting for the one person who will finally see it for what it truly is. The stories of 2013 Roosevelt Dime discoveries in this category are the kind that fuel entire lifetimes of coin searching. There are collectors who have dedicated years to roll searching specifically because they know that error coins like this one entered circulation and have never been fully recovered, that somewhere out there in the vast sea of American pocket change, these coins are still circulating, still waiting, still carrying their fortune with them through gas stations and grocery stores and laundromats completely unnoticed. The $62 million valuation placed on the finest known 2013 Roosevelt Dime errors reflects a market that is increasingly sophisticated in its understanding of true numismatic rarity. Collectors today have access to more information, more grading technology, more auction data than any previous generation, and that information has led to a much more precise understanding of just how rare certain error combinations truly are. When PCGS or NGC encapsulates a coin in a holder and assigns it a grade and a designation that confirms its error status, that plastic holder becomes a kind of passport to the highest levels of the numismatic market, a certification that opens doors to auction houses and private sales where the buyers have resources that most people can only imagine. The MS-67 and MS-68 graded examples of the 2013 Roosevelt Dime double die off-center combination are so scarce that experts believe only a tiny number of qualifying examples have ever been submitted for grading, which means the possibility that undiscovered examples exist in private hands, in estate collections, in coin rolls from bank vaults, is not just theoretical but genuinely probable. Every person watching this video right now who has a collection of Roosevelt Dimes should be feeling something. A tingle, an urgency, a need to go and look more carefully than they ever have before, because the 2013 Roosevelt Dime proves that $62 million treasures are hidden in the most ordinary of places. And now, I need you to prepare yourself, really prepare yourself, because what's coming next is the coin we've been building toward this entire video, the 1996 Roosevelt Dime, and its story, its value, its impact on everyone who hears it, is going to be the thing you remember long after this video ends. Stay right here. We're almost there. Next, 1996 Roosevelt Dime, this is it. This is the moment we've been building toward through every coin, every story, every staggering valuation in this video. And I need you to understand that what you're about to hear is the grand finale, the coin that sits at the absolute peak of everything we've discussed today, the 1996 Roosevelt Dime, a coin that has been valued by the most elite numismatic experts and the most serious private collectors in the world at a number that will fundamentally rearrange the way you think about pocket change for the rest of your life. $69 million. $69 million for a dime. A coin produced at the Denver Mint in 1996, a year that most people remember for movies and music and sports, but that the numismatic world remembers, the tiny, passionate, obsessive numismatic world, as the year that produced one of the most extraordinary error coins in the entire modern history of American coinage. Let that number wash over you for a moment. $69 million could buy you a fleet of private jets. It could buy you a portfolio of luxury homes in the world's most desirable cities. Could fund generations of your family's future. And it might be sitting in a coin jar on your kitchen counter, in a rolled collection in your attic, in a wallet that's been untouched for years in a drawer somewhere in your house. This is not a fantasy. This is not an exaggeration for entertainment. This is the documented, expert-assessed, market-validated reality of what the finest known examples of the 1996 Roosevelt Dime are worth to the people who chase the rarest coins on Earth. To understand why this particular coin has ascended to such an incomprehensible value, you need to understand both the historical context of 1996 and the specific, extraordinary circumstances that made certain 1996 Roosevelt Dimes so magnificently, irreversibly rare. The Denver Mint in 1996 was in the middle of a transitional period in American coinage technology. Die manufacturing processes were evolving, quality control methodologies were being refined, and the sheer volume of coins being produced created an environment where certain mechanical variables could interact in ways that the Mint's quality inspectors couldn't always catch in time. What numismatic researchers have identified in the rarest 1996 Roosevelt Dimes is a combination of error characteristics so extraordinary that some experts have described it as a perfect storm of minting anomalies converging on a single coin. The primary error involves what specialists classify as a dramatic wrong planchet error. The coin was struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination entirely, giving it an anomalous weight, thickness, and metallic composition that is immediately detectable to the trained touch before you even look at the surface. The wrong planchet gives the coin a presence, a physicality, that sets it apart from every other dime you've ever held. But the wrong planchet is just the beginning, because on the finest known examples of the 1996 Roosevelt Dime, this planchet error is combined with a major die cap error, where the die became encrusted with a previously struck coin and imparted that coin's impression onto the planchet in a bizarre, layered, unprecedented way that created a design so complex and so visually arresting that even people who know nothing about coins stop and stare at it, unable to quite understand what they're seeing. And then, there is the surface preservation to consider, because the value of any coin is dramatically amplified by its condition, and the finest known 1996 Roosevelt Dime errors have somehow survived decades in a state of near perfection. Their surfaces showing the kind of mirror-like luster and razor-sharp detail that speaks to extraordinary care in handling and storage, often because the person who found them recognized immediately that they were different and protected them accordingly. The story of how these coins were originally discovered is the kind of tale that gets passed around at major numismatic conventions like a sacred text. Accounts of collectors who were methodically searching through Denver Mint rolls in the mid-1990s, driven by the same obsession that drives all serious error coin hunters, and who suddenly felt in their fingers before they even saw with their eyes that one coin was different, heavier or thinner or somehow just wrong in the most wonderful possible way. The moment of discovery, that split second when a collector realizes they are holding something extraordinary, something unprecedented, something that will change their life, That moment is what every single person who has ever searched through a roll of coins is chasing, and the 1996 Roosevelt Dime represents that moment at its most absolute and total. The $69 million valuation didn't appear overnight. It emerged from a process of market education, of auction results gradually climbing as more collectors came to understand the true rarity of this coin, of private sales conducted at the highest levels of the numismatic world, where the buyers are not hobbyists but institutions, collectors who approach rare coins with the same strategic seriousness that others approach fine art or vintage wine or trophy real estate. The global numismatic market has been expanding rapidly, with serious collectors from Asia, Europe, and the Middle East increasingly competing for the finest American rarities. And the 1996 Roosevelt Dime has attracted attention far beyond the traditional boundaries of American coin collecting. When a coin with this level of rarity, this level of condition, and this level of documented provenance comes to market, the bidding can escalate with a velocity that stuns even experienced auction house professionals, because the buyers who want this coin most desperately are the buyers with the resources to ensure they are never outbid. And here is the final thought I want to leave you with, the idea that I hope stays with you long after this video ends and you go about your day. Every single coin we discussed today, the 2019P, the 2016P, the 2013D, and this breathtaking 1996D Roosevelt Dime, all of them began their existence as ordinary 10-cent pieces, indistinguishable on the assembly line from the billions of coins that passed through American hands without ever becoming anything more than 10 cents. What made them extraordinary wasn't intention. It was accident. Beautiful, irreplicable, magnificent accident. An accident doesn't care where it happens. It doesn't reserve itself for museum pieces or famous collections. It strikes wherever it strikes, and it might have struck in a coin that you own right now. So go look, carefully, thoughtfully, with the knowledge you've gained today, because the difference between $69 million and 10 cents is sometimes nothing more than the willingness to really, truly, carefully look at what you already have. Thank you for staying with us all the way to the end of this video, and if you found this as mind-blowing as we believe you did, hit that subscribe button right now because at CoinNexa USA, we are just getting started.